Welcome to Art Crash with artists Fee Marks and Paula Telizyn, where we talk about being an artist, the art world, feminism, and more in this podcast. Today, we are going to be talking more with the 51%, our collective, including Jela Prancic and Susan Gardner, and our upcoming show in Derby in England. We haven't decided the show opening date yet. There's a lot of details up in the air with this show, but the one thing we do know is the 51% will be at the gallery in the town centre in Derby in England, showing our work. And it's not just another art show.
And it's actually in the Art Core Gallery in Derby. I'll just add that in because you didn't mention that.
Yes, exactly, in the Art Core Gallery in Derby. So it's in an established gallery, but we are using the gallery place. We are not working through the curator or anything else. This is our show using a space that is appropriate for our inaugural show. With this show, called The Wild Within, we are creating a show that is an experience. It's almost like an installation in addition to getting a chance to interact and experience the individual pieces that we are making for this event. So, one of the things that we've been thinking about is after COVID, there is this desire to go out and do in-person things. I'm seeing that here in London as I do a lot of networking events in person, that even the people who would never have attended networking events pre-COVID are showing up. We're all tired of being in our houses or in our offices or our rented desks or whatever, just seeing the same walls every day, the same people or lack of people every day. We want to actually have experiences that light us up and maybe even influence what we're thinking and how we feel about our lives. And I know even with my own kids, they're making plans with their friends and coworkers outside of their usual spaces to increase their experiences. When we are looking at creating this show, we are looking at giving almost a reward or an experience to the people who choose to come out and engage with our show. We don't want it to be just come out, try to sound smart, and look at some art. It is we want you to come out and maybe feel differently about the art you're engaging with, have an experience you can talk about, share with your friends, and maybe think differently in that process. Sophie, do you wanna sort of talk a little bit about what we're planning on doing?
We're actually putting the audience at the foremost front of our exhibition, whereas in the past it's been about, oh, let's see, don't the pictures, doesn't the artwork look amazing? We're not saying we're not going to think about that, but we want people to come and have a journey themselves and have an experience themselves, and they can get as involved or as not involved as much as you want or you feel comfortable with. Don't worry, we're not dressing up as gorillas and jumping out at you. Paula would probably want to do that. But yeah, we're taking ideas that we know about sort of theatre and exhibitions and experiences that people go to. We've taken the idea of the immersive exhibition. Now, obviously, we're doing our first show on a budget. Hopefully, they will become more and more spectacular. But this is our first one. So we are hoping to project images of our artwork, close ups on the walls, on the floor, on the ceilings of the gallery, as well as seeing the artwork. We will be using sound. We are thinking very much about the sensory experience, the sounds of the journey, going on the journey with our artwork when we do curate it. We are going to think very carefully about the story that the exhibition is telling, as well as the story that our own individual pieces are telling. And we know that museums and art galleries have thought a lot about how to engage children, for example, in their exhibitions, but not so much the adults, which I think is an oversight because we like to be involved. So there will be things that you can look for, quizzes, competitions, and also we're going to have a social media corner or space within the gallery where people can interact with our artwork. We're going to be there all week. So, you will come and find, you might be really lucky and find all four of us there, but we will be there. So we can be involved in your reels, in your photographs. You can then post them onto your social media page and tell everybody about the exhibition, but then you've also got that memento. We are at the moment talking about merchandise, 51% merchandise. That has not yet been decided what we're going to have, but we want people to be able to have that. Souvenirs have been going back since time began. When people go to places, they want something to help them remember. So we're lucky, we have photographs now, we have our social media account. So yeah, it's going to be a sensory experience that hopefully you will come out of moved, not just by one of our pieces, but by actually the journey you have taken by seeing our exhibition, which I'm not sure if we've mentioned the title, but it's called The Wild Within.
Yeah, we come together with a lot of different skills, which I think is really helpful. So Yella has a background in doing projections and animation and really curating people's experiences, which is fantastic. And I've got a background in animation as well and engaging audiences. Fee comes from a dramatic background with her drama training and everything else. And Susan brings these dramatically huge pieces with a different viewpoint that makes us all think differently. So we all come in with these skills and these intensities and these abilities to create a show that will be audience centered. As Fee said, that's probably the best term for it, is audience centered. So when we are discussing all of this, we talk big and then we figure out what actually makes sense. So Yella and I sat down probably about 2 weeks ago and looked at what we could do for lighting, for dramatic lighting for the show. So let's talk a little bit about that, Yella, because we did sit down for quite a while and look at our possibilities.
There's the act of using projections or LED screens where you have to create a tremendous amount of content for, and you have to plan out what's playing on which screen, what's being projected from each device. Whereas there's also the ability to use lighting, and lighting isn't just flicking on a switch and a room is bright and then it goes dark when you switch it off. Is that lighting can also incorporate lighting effects. So you can create the illusion of imagery through a light that changes colors, that has a filter that casts shapes on the walls, on the floor, on the ceiling. So that became of interest because it can fill a large area very dramatically, but more abstract, so that those effects don't take away from the artwork that we are showing, but rather create an ambiance for the gallery setting. So we're exploring that, and of course, our planned curated artwork on the screens as well.
So when somebody walks into the gallery, it's almost like they're gonna be stepping into another world. We'd use the idea of, way back, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 locations left, but way back when Rainforest Cafe was a big deal. When you walked through the gift shop and into the restaurant, immediately the lighting changed. There was sound, there was thunderstorms, there were animals moving and things. Obviously, we're not doing the animals moving, but we are trying to create that stepping into someplace different. Now, if I had my way in budget, we would be doing something like the Van Gogh experience where we would have all sorts of moving projections and whatever. That's not gonna happen. We are self-funded and we are starting where we start and we'll build on it, but we do have a lot of ideas. We wanna obviously ensure that we're not overwhelming our audiences either. We want them to experience,
And that the art, we want people to see our artwork.
Yes.
which is really important, yes, but to walk away understanding that they've seen something different, because we are not waiting for the permission to show up and do things according to what has been done. We are riffing off of some of the stuff that seems to be working, creating that audience-centered experience, so like the Van Gogh experience. Even medieval times, for example, another experience that I don't know if that translates to the UK or not, but certainly in North America, medieval times is this place where you go in and, you have dinner there and supposedly in a medieval arena and watch knights battle it out. You get a chance to interact with the knights and the wenches and see the horses and everything else, and that sort of interactive experience, it's almost sort of, again, something that has been ringing in the back of my mind. Not that we're bringing horses in by any means, which I would absolutely love. I know, Susan, I'd absolutely love that too. But, we are sort of wanting people to, again, feel transformed. We have this idea of costumes or not costumes, but clothing as well. And Susan has been really great about doing all these renderings of us in various scenarios and sharing to give us ideas. It's been really fantastic, to see us as a group. Now, hilariously, some of the renderings, because it is AI, make us look ridiculous, but you've been giving us a lot of really good ideas into how we can show up as well. So, Susan, I wanna sort of talk with you about what your angles are with the show and what you're seeing about the wild within and what you hope that we can build for this very first show.
Mm. I've always deep down, I've always wanted to be involved in something like this, really, and I've seen very, very few art shows that have pushed things into the unknown. It tends to be just the white walls with the art and very, very quiet. You go in and you feel a little bit self-conscious. You're walking around thinking, not quite sure. And you feel like you're being looked at, and you haven't really got a chance to interact with the art at all because it's all about, um, I don't know, there's a barrier between you and the art or the person who's looking at the art, and the art, because there's this sort of, not a stigma, but there's certainly an expectation that you'll know a little bit about it.
The pressure, yeah, saying, "Do not touch," and,
Yeah,
I'm always
all
tell
that kind of
people,
thing.
"Touch my artwork, it's fine."
There's lots of starched fartery about it all, isn't there? And we don't want that. We don't want that. We're not gonna do that. But, so I'm really, really excited. I literally have always wanted to go, let's have music, let's have installations, let's have just more fun because it's supposed to be fun. It is entertainment. I mean, art is like, yes, there is a serious side to art, but it's also a cinema ticket or a meal out, or it's entertainment, I think, as well as the serious side. You've got to get people to really look forward to going and really think, well, what we're going to see, what's it going to be like? We know it's not going to embarrass anybody. We know that people aren't going to be made to feel foolish to go there. They're going to feel included. They're going to feel like a warm welcome, but they are also going to be surprised and hopefully exhilarated. I think it's going to be an exhilarating experience for people. And I'm really, really excited by it. And I think, not just because not because it's us doing it, although we are the ones that are going to make it really, really cool, but because for the people that are going to come see it, it's going to be really exciting. And hopefully other people will run with this idea as well. So we'll have a few more exciting exhibition experiences for people to go and look at, as well as our own, because we're obviously going to have more than this experience, this one exhibition. It's going to get better and better, I imagine, as we go along.
Part of the outcome we want with this show is to show that we do not have to follow what has been traditionally been acceptable. And that's really important because there seems to be this is how you do things. So not only are we sort of tossing away the you must work in this way and do things in this way, but we're tossing away the audience must participate in this way. And a lot of times when you go to art shows, especially when they're held at universities, because I've been in art shows showing off the postgraduate classes works and things like that, you have to sort of show up and say something smart to go with the art. And if you've not been in sort of the academic art world, it can feel very intimidating or make the audience feel stupid. So we want to make sure that art becomes, I've used the term in the past, intellectually affordable, that people feel like they can come in however they are and they don't need to say something smart about it. They can like it or not and use those words. They can connect with it or not and use those words or don't use words at all. Especially if the words are negative, please don't share those with us. But but we want the general audience to feel like the art is there for them. It's not there for people with a buttload of money. It's not there solely for people who are going to write reviews or critique or whatever. We don't give a shit about all of that part of it. We care about the experience with art, and to change the narrative around and the connection around art with the audience. Because it is true, as Susan said, that there's a disconnect between the art that artists are making and the audience feeling like they can come in and have a good time and enjoy themselves. That you have to be a certain way, dress a certain way, speak a certain way to attend an art show. And so we're turning that on its head entirely. And I think that's important because, when we do come in all with different personalities, it's important for us to also lean on those personalities. So Susan is a hell of a lot of fun. She's hilarious. Always, always gives us good laughs, and she politely laughs at all of my terrible jokes. And so she's keeping the show fun for the audience in a way that we wouldn't have without her. And so each of us brings in that sort of angle, which is what I said in the beginning, when we all come in with our different lenses, our different experiences, and come together to create this. Being mindful of what we each bring to the table is really important. So if you do enjoy the show and love it, then you can thank Susan for that because she made it fun. So yeah,
No pressure.
no pressure at all.
And obviously, me and Jela are no fun whatsoever.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, and that's not what I was implying, but like the different angles. So
Yes.
we've talked about the immersive experience that we want to create, including sound. So we look around and take in what each of us are doing, but also seeing what's going on in the world. So Jela has released some of her pieces with audio, especially her latest piece with audio that immediately made me go, we need that. Not specifically that audio maybe, but we need audio in there as well for our audiences to come in and feel like they've stepped into another world. And we're not talking necessarily audio that's like, woo, pop music, the top 40 or whatever. We're talking about audio that sets a mood or a vibration in the experience so that it plays in the background and helps you sort of transport yourself into this other world, I guess, is the best word for it. What we're really hoping for is that when audiences attend, because we are running this for 7 days, they will go back and bring their friends. It's free to enter, free to attend. We want to sell our art, obviously, but we want to also let general audiences and artists know that the way things have always been done do not need to be the way that we have to do things or the way that we should be moving forward. Because I think with all the changes going on in the world, the way things have been done should be tossed to the side. And we should be showing up differently as artists, as central creators and guiders of humanity. If we have STEM without arts, we are missing out on important conversations. The arts include history, right? Understanding where we've come from. Arts include projecting forward. Visual artists also allow people to imagine and hope and remember their priorities. Like we do really important work as artists. We spark conversations with our art. And so we want more people to engage with the arts and understand that a society without art is a society that is cold and unfeeling and perhaps ending up a lot like what AI does right now, which is spouting the same stuff over and over and over again, just a flat sort of baseline of stuff without the peaks of inspiration and creativity and leaps of ideas that artists have. And we practice doing that when we create our work. So connecting our audiences with our art is a huge step in us affecting change, not only for other artists, but for our society in general. And we start small, like it ripples outward. We will start small, but we're hoping that change, we are doing our damnedest to make sure that change does ripple outward.
As usual, as artists, there are a lot of stages that we go through in terms of how we not only show up as artists, but how we show our art in spaces. And a lot of artists are reluctant to even put titles on their artwork, which is terrible. So we're not only looking at that. Of course, we all have titles to our artwork. We have a title for our show, and we are also changing the way
You
that
wouldn't
we
read a book that didn't have a title, would you?
exactly. So we're we're taking a lot of bold steps with this show. How we work together and how we come up with the whole concept of our art not needing to be simply on the walls with the exact same titles, the little placards that go next to our art. We are saying that we can use other mediums to enhance, complement, or add to the art experience. And the other thing is that we are building our own characters of ourselves and how we will show up at this show, how we'll be presented in our marketing material. And this is combining all of our skills, Fee's theatrical background, and Paula, Susan, and Fee being artist educators. I have to add too is that you teach people of all ages how to paint, draw, create art. And I have in my past a curatorial assistant background where there was a little bit of pushing the boundaries in how art was installed and presented. So we're we're really making a groundbreaking experience for people to come to the show and to feel even hopefully that the space itself, Artcore, can begin to utilize all of the equipment that they have on site to create exciting experiences for the community.
I was just going to add, another thing is we want people to come and view art as if they're going to see their favorite band play in a gig. The excitement when you can go and get to see live music. We want people to feel that when they come to see original art in the flesh, so to speak. And that is why we've talked so much about how we present ourselves, how we don't want to be apologetic. We want to be unapologetic, and we want people to be excited to see our work and to buy it and to have the experience that we have. We're sharing our passions. Putting our hearts right out there. And we want you to come along to Artcore, meet us, inspire us, and hopefully we'll inspire you too.
I think this comes back to being in a collective because we said in the last episode when we were talking with Jela and Susan that setting up an art show, a pop-up show essentially by yourself is really, really hard. And certainly with all the moving parts we have, we each of us with our skills couldn't do it by ourselves. And so this is one of the strengths of the 51% is coming together with our varied skills where some overlap and some don't, and making something that's bigger and better than ourselves. This wouldn't work with every collective. I'm not saying we're the only collective this would work with, but it wouldn't work with every collective. You have to be in a collective, if you choose to be in a collective, with people who do share values, who do have the same level of ambition and desire and follow through. So being in a group where people have ambition and no follow through is not very useful. It really doesn't help because you end up with just a lot of hot air, right? And a lot of people are like that. They like the idea of something and then they don't wanna do the hard graft. And so when we joined together, it was weeks. I think we formed the collective after doing 12 weeks of weekly meetings and working together as individuals before we sort of went, "You know what? Actually, we should form a collective." It was a while, and I've known, both Yella and Fee for years, and I've known Susan on and off for years as well. So we all had this sort of knowledge of each other, to a certain degree. So we already came in with an understanding, which is really important. And we defined what we wanted from this collective, not just from the show, which is important, but from the collective as well, because we want to ensure that we do all show up in ways that end up being equal in some way. So that we aren't just, you know, two people or one person working really hard and the other people are riding on their coattails. And we've seen that with other art collectives where they'll have a group of whatever, 7 or 8 people, but it's 3 doing the work. And the other ones are just there for the ride, there for the free publicity.
I think we've all been part of those.
I think so too. Yes, yes. So that's really important to us as well. So when we show up in this show, understand that there was no one person who did the work. It was all of us doing that work together with the common goal, which we have decided well before we said, let's make a show, is we want to change and center the audience in the art experience. We want to create an experience, as Fee said, where it feels like going out to a concert. It's exciting. It's an event that you don't want to miss. It's not something that you can watch live streamed later on or whatever. You have to be there in person to see it. So that's really important. But understanding that we individually couldn't have done that without forming this collective is also crucial, and sharing ideas and being vulnerable with each other. And in doing that, it has also impacted the art that we make. And we alluded to that in the last episode as well. Like Fee's art has become a lot more vulnerable and has changed its direction, which is really wonderful to see. So if you've been following Fee Mark's art for a few years, you'll have noticed that her last 2 signature collections have been tremendously moving and involving stories. And I know for my own self, it has impacted my art as well, because I've done the journey from pop culture to playing with abstract, which is definitely not where I want to be, to doing a couple of landscapes and some surreal art. And then now I'm back at portraits, but it's not pop culture. It's a deep connection with the subjects in my portraits and a desire to create a communication not only between them and the world, but myself and them, and then the art and the world. So there's these multiple layers that we've influenced in each other in order to create the best pieces we can, and probably better than we have. So as we wrap up this episode of Art Crush and then get on with our day, or wrap up the day because the UK is 5 hours ahead of Canada, I just wanna sort of go back to why should somebody come out to see our show in Derby at the Art Core Gallery? Then I'm gonna start with Fee on that one.
If you are able to come, you don't want to miss out, really. I've been talking a lot with people in Derby because I'm the person who lives just outside Derby, and so I feel an extra pressure in a way to try and get as many people in. But we want to learn from each other. I think there is so much to say. The opening evening, we will be talking, and it will be a very exciting opening for something new and very, very different. And if you want to experience a different type of show, gig, exhibition, whatever you want to call it, come and help us develop, come and give your views. We're not saying that we've got it right, but we know things have got to change, and we'd like to invite you to be part of that change.
Yeah, we are daring to be different because we don't expect to get it 100% right, especially in the first show, but we do have the courage, and the skill set and the desire and ambition to try to be different, which I think is important as well. Yella, would you like to say anything about why somebody should come out to the show or come experience it or anything about our show?
I believe that people should come to the show The Wild Within, to be held at Art Core, to not only, to attend for the sake of getting to learn about a whole new way of showing artists' work in established gallery spaces, and to connect with a community that's growing and building internationally.
I definitely think, as somebody that quite recently lost mobility and lost the ability to go out for quite some time, talking about a year really of enforced stopping in and missing everything, I'm even more inspired to make this such an amazing event that you literally, because it's in person, you can't do it online. It's going to be really rare because you can't do it online. It's not all going to be shared beforehand so you can have a look and see what all the highlights are before it happens. It's all going to be happening at the show, so you can talk about it for years afterwards. It's going to be such a good event, and I'm really motivated because of that, partially, but also because it's going to be something, like the others have said, it's going to be something completely new and hopefully the start of something to come. So come along and be part of the very first iteration of our show.
We do have plans for future shows. As Fee had said previously, hopefully in the UK we'll do a second show based on how this first one goes. And then we're aiming for Toronto or somewhere in Ontario, Canada in 2027. So every show will be different. If you've seen one, you won't have seen them all, because we intend to improve and adjust the shows as we go based on feedback, on watching the audiences experience things, on the things that we learn. So we aren't worried about things not working or not turning out quite the way we want, because we learn from everything. There's no failure, there is just testing, and there's just data. So come and be a part of helping us launch this. Maybe be inspired to do it yourself if you are also an artist and want to create your own audience-centered art experiences. And let's shake things up a bit. The art world is huge. We don't plan on toppling anything, but we do plan on definitely changing the narrative around how art shows can be, because it's been same since forever. And it is time for a shakeup. And if that's down to us doing it, it's down to us doing it, because we saw a problem, we're ambitious, and we're capable, and we are ready to do that. So there will be more information about The Wild Within on our website at the51percent.com. All of our websites and our collective website will be listed in the show notes, so come and check those out and get more information as we have it. So by the time this podcast episode airs, we should have more information available. The show will be free to attend. It will be in Derby, England, at the Art Core Gallery, which is in the center of town. And we hope to see you there. Make sure you tell your friends, make it a day out. Come and see us and chat with us. And we look forward to meeting those of you who can come. Don't forget to listen to Art Crush on Spotify, YouTube, Audible, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and your favorite podcast app. Make sure you also subscribe and share with your other art friends, because we are having discussions that are different from every other art podcast. We want to ensure that people with a desire to create art and show up actually can see that how you show up can be defined by who you are and what you want, rather than what you think the art world wants. And that's really important to us. And we will catch you in the next episode. A big thanks to Jela Prancic and Susan Gardner for joining myself, Paula Telizyn, and Fee Marks in our podcast. We look forward to bringing you on future episodes as we go through the year and as we do our shows. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.